You may have seen in recent years a bunch of videos about Amazon FBA. It might seem at first glance like a get-rich-quick kind of a scheme. There are plenty of sellers that show their success, that flaunt their cash, their earnings. And if you're anything like me, you might be thinking, is this some sort of pyramid scheme or some sort of Mary Kay business thing that I just don't really want to get into? Well, I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. I have watched dozens of videos on this topic, and I've even started to dip my toe in the water so that you don't have to. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jenny, and in this video, we'll be talking about Amazon FBA. Is it a scam or a legit business opportunity? If you're completely new to Amazon FBA, I gotcha. I'll summarize this quickly for you. So Amazon FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, and there are 4 main models. The first is retail arbitrage, wholesale, private label, and the 4th one is what I like to call twisted label. So most of the videos will say that the first 2, arbitrage and wholesale, aren't really worth your time and money anymore. The 3rd one is private label, and this was okay in the past, but now the market is so flooded that it's not as effective as it used to be. The competition is quite high and the growth is kind of slow. So that leaves the 4th opportunity, and that is twisted label. So basically it's private label with a twist. You see what I did there? I'm trying to innovate. So the first thing you gotta do is you have to look through existing products whose stats show mid to high demand below competition. Now there are web tools that are designed to help you search the Amazon catalog and automatically crunch the numbers. Everybody in the game says these search tools are a must. You need to have these. It's kind of like if you were going to bake cookies and sell them, then you wouldn't really milk the cow in the morning and churn the butter. You would go to the grocery store and you would buy the butter. After you do that, then you go ahead and you reach out to a manufacturer and ask them to alter it in some way. So the alterations could be something like you minimize a feature or maximize a feature. You could add a feature, an additional feature, if you notice it's missing, or you can also slap your own design on it. I think those are all really good and easy ways to make a product stand out as your own. Then you go ahead and apply your own branding to it. You could outsource this kind of work with sites like Fiverr. Then all you gotta do, what's left, is you have to market and list your product on Amazon. So if something like this really interests you, then go ahead and follow me. You can watch me on my journey so that, maybe you could learn what to do and what not to do. The big question is Amazon a good opportunity? Well, there are definitely some pros that I can see. You could start small with your time and money. Most of us have a full-time job, myself included, and we also have things like family, maybe school, or a combination of hobbies and social events, things like that. So maybe you don't have an abundance of time to dedicate. Well, that doesn't mean you can't join Amazon as a seller. This could be a side gig. Obviously, the more time you put in, the more you get out. But if time's not that abundant for you, then you can still have growth with Amazon FBA. You could start small with how much you invest in your Amazon FBA company. In the past, if you wanted to start a company, you would have to have a place, you'd have to pay rent and overhead, and you would have to fill your store with a bunch of different products. Now, that's no longer the case. We live in an online world, so the barrier to entry is relatively low. I'll get more into the cost later on, but for now, let's just say you could start with a minimal cost. Another big advantage is you can be your own boss. If you're anything like me, you do not like working for somebody else. I do not have the personality to listen to orders without questioning, without trying to improve it somehow. Sometimes you get lucky and have a good manager at work, and sometimes you don't. I also hate the idea of making somebody wealthy for the best years of my life, essentially. That's a concept that I really struggle with day in, day out. I also really don't like any kind of clocking in, clocking out system, trying to tell people when I'm most optimized to do work. I would like to get up and go to the gym and have my own day before sitting down for a few hours to put in work. Most places don't really offer that. But if you work with Amazon FBA, then you kind of get to be your own boss, and everything you put into it is for you. It is a little bit for Jeff Bezos, but that's beside the point. You can work anywhere in the world. I'm somebody who loves traveling. I love seeing new places. I would like to live in different countries. Costa Rica, New Zealand, Mexico, I don't know, a lot of places. The last perk I'll talk about is the opportunity for growth is as big as your imagination. And that's really what I like. You know, you could do whatever your little heart desires. So this can be just the beginning. Now let's talk about the drawbacks. This is where it could kind of start to seem a little bit scammy, for lack of a better word. So there are numerous videos out there that like to say you could start with $0. And it is true, you can start with $0, but it's also true you can't start with $0. It's a little bit of a Schrodinger's cat situation. So let me explain. Technically, you can start with $0 if you use crowdfunding sources, things like Indiegogo or Seed Invest, and the other one, GoFundMe. That's the classic. So if those are things that you personally have in your skill set, if this is something that suits your personality, then go for it. Do it if you're able to. Some people do just have that natural charisma. I don't really fall in that category, and I suspect many of you watching also don't fall into that category. I could barely get like 30% of my invites to show up to my birthday party. It's tricky, but it's technically doable, and it's easier for some people than it is for others. If putting up that extra money, that initial startup money, is just not really an option for you, then there are ways to sort of create those traits, having charisma and being very persuasive. Start there. Start building that up so you could get your crowdfunding source. It's probably easier and more time efficient to just put up the savings that you have. Not all of it, obviously. Don't risk everything. I don't think that's really the best idea, but at least that's not something I would do. And some people like to live large. So the claim of starting with $0 kind of caters towards people who are maybe a little more impulsive, appeal to those who, are financially in need. So I don't think it's the best way to go about it. I don't really like that they say that, but I guess it's nice to give everyone the tools that they can. If you're going to go ahead and put forward some of your savings, what you could expect is about $2,000 as a startup, plus or minus $500. Now that can be really challenging, especially if you're living in a high tax state. $2,000 is kind of a lot. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I could barely make any savings, and when I did have savings, I really wanted to do something fun. I want to go on a trip. I want to eat at a nice restaurant. I want to put my money towards fun, because living paycheck to paycheck is so stressful. It's day in, day out, hoping, just crossing your fingers that you don't, fall off a bridge and break your leg, because now the medical bills will be so stupid. It's also really hard to find the energy and the motivation to keep doing something outside of work and whatever you do after work. It could be really draining, but I do think this is one of those things that's kind of a synergetic effect. It's like a body in motion stays in motion, and when you have money, it's easier to get money. So I guess it's up to you to decide how much is that 2000 worth. But emotional regulation and self-discipline, those are the two things I would focus on. I think most people should actually start there. That's really what the trouble is, especially if you're in the drudge of paycheck to paycheck. Learning how to regulate your emotions and learning how to get your motivation going and building self-discipline to keep you going for when your motivation runs low. Overall, I do think that online is the future, and gone are the days when you have to have your shop full of knickknacks, and instead you just have to have one product listed on Amazon. And if you really want, you could do 2, 3, 4, 5. You could start to build more and more, but it's not necessary. You can just build one product, and that can be enough for you depending on how you want to grow. Overall, I would say that this is a good opportunity. It's a good way to grow your money. I originally found Amazon FBA because I have been wanting to invest money. I want to grow my money. I looked into stocks. They're not doing great. Crypto's not doing great. I don't have enough to buy property. I don't have enough to really go back and advance my education without going into massive student loan debt. It is a risk, but nothing comes risk-free. You know, I did come to a point where I felt really afraid. Like, am I really gonna do this? Like, I could imagine making like thousands of dollars each month and designing products and being able to put that more in, kind of just having more free time, being able to live where I want. Those all seem like dreams to me, and I do want those things to be true. To create change, you have to step outside your comfort zone, and I can decide to hold on to the money that I have, but then nothing's going to change. Acknowledge that you have to take risks, and if it doesn't go in your favor, remind yourself that you're trying to create a better life, and you can't do that from just getting hired and working for your paycheck. That's my 2 cents on the topic. Please, if you enjoyed this video, then consider subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.